welcome again. This is our plenary panel. This is the final leg in the symposium. There'll be people coming in and out. They get out of class or they have to finish their meeting. So you'll see some other people come in, but please go ahead and listen to our fabulous speakers here today, talking about how we mesh considerations of sustainability and the challenges that we have right now facing us. So we'll take it away. Andrew Hoffman, Hesterberg, and Manish Shah.
Well, I'm glad to see that some things are universal around campuses. Everyone fills the back seats first. If anyone would like to come down front, we are going to open it up to questions. It's a whole lot easier to ask questions when you're 10 feet away rather than 50 feet away. Okay. I thought I'd give it a try. Some things are universal. They never listen to that pushing neighbor. Okay. So what we want to talk about today in this session is bringing together the ideas from my plenary, from two previous the breakout sessions. Really think about where students are going with their careers, how this all fits in. And we discussed how to start. And first they were going to just sort of summarize a little bit about their presentations, since half of you saw one, half of you saw the other. And then I'll just ask a few questions, get a conversation going, and then we'll open up to questions from the audience. So, Tom, would you like to start by telling us an overview of what you discussed?
Oh, okay. I guess what we talked about is what got us into this field, why are we interested in sustainability. And from my perspective, it was in the 70s when I got interested in college, and there was a lot of concern around the environment, environmental pollution, cancer being caused by pollutants, etc. So I mean, that's why I went into the field of biology, eventually toxicology, and really went more into academia. One of the things I found out, I actually did a postdoc at NIEHS, National Institute of Health, in environmental toxicology. And after spending about 10 years in a lab, studying the nuances of causing chromosomal changes in cells and culture, maybe being linked to cancer, decided that I wanted to go into industry. And I didn't really have the full thought process formulated in my mind that that's where I could have more of an impact. But in retrospect, looking back, I think I've had a lot more impact by being in industry where I can actually influence the thinkers there and ultimately the technologies that end up reducing pollution, in this case diesel air pollution, and having a real impact on convincing leaders there that this is important, not so much the right thing to do, but also the cost-effective thing and the business strategy thing. So that's kind of where I came from, why I ended up in industry. And I think there's been a real advantage in going that route because I can, as I talked in my talk, it's important to interact with regulatory agencies, with the scientists that are out there, publish, be able to analyze the literature. To me, it's just good product stewardship to make sure that your products aren't causing issues, and if others think they are, to be able to address that and try to convince them that that's not the case. So it's been rewarding to go into industry, and there aren't many of us there, so that's another advantage. you want to be in demand.
Sure. I think in my talk, it's sort of hopefully ask students to take action. A lot of times, when you study movements, back in the 60s, they had Woodstock and the anti-war movement. I would describe FOSS as it found me, and this was sort of my protest movement, if you will. And the way I wanted to protest was take action of policies that I didn't agree with, and with my scientific background, that I could do something positive for. And not only could I do something, create a product, biodiesel, but maybe more importantly, take care of the health and welfare of the entire community by the entire methodology that FOSS uses of being community-based. We have this sort of microplant concept of instead of building one 100 million gallon plant, we're going to build 101 million gallon plants, become the McDonald's of biodiesel, if you will. And by that, we create jobs locally, we create a tax base, and we actually build something, make something, which in America it seems, like, oh, we actually make things. And bring that sort of pride back to our local communities. And I was blessed to have the mayor of Blue Island in my session, and that's where we're putting up our first plant. And having that sort of vision and courage by him, and hopefully that can be sort of a model that we can then take to other communities, both at the local level, state level, and hopefully national level. So it's something that I'm excited to be on a college campus. It's been quite a while since I've been 19. So one, kudos to all the sophomores and juniors and freshmen and seniors that are here. I think 6 o'clock, I don't remember me doing this back in college, so my hat's off to you for being so mature. But I think sustainability is a field where this is just the beginning. Think of this as maybe 1985 for the PC industry. I don't even think Bill Gates was a billionaire yet, was he? I think he was still only a multi-millionaire, you know? And so that's how young this industry is. And if you want to have a rewarding career, not only financially, which is important, I mean, there's school debt to think about and bills to pay, but having a life full of value and purpose and a sense of mission, if you will. I'm at a Catholic university, but there's a sense of providence here, you know, that you can have you can be filled not only with dollars, but a sense of legacy and redemption, if you will. Something that at the end of our days, we can feel sort of proud that we left the earth better than the way we found it. And that's what FOSS has been to me, and it's been an incredible blessing. Sort of serendipity of how I sort of came across this. Some of my research down at Oregon and some of my graduate work at the University of Chicago, but ultimately it was people that I came across and said, you know, what if we try this together? And sort of, you know, like little molecules sort of coming together, eventually it turned into FOSS. And so, and I'm just grateful to have this opportunity to sort of share this message. I often say my biggest competition is awareness, of educating people that we can take recycling to a whole new level, if you will. Is that sustainability isn't something that has to be trapped in just a corporate boardroom, that you as a student sitting right here, you can have a meaningful impact in the world that you will be living for. And ultimately, all of this is going to be done for grandchildren, and quite frankly, even great-grandchildren that haven't been born yet. There is an old saying by Iroquois chiefs that when they make decisions, they make a decision today based on 7 generations from today. I mean, 7 generations at minimum is 150 years. The way most corporations deal today is quarter to quarter. I mean, you know, we're talking 3-month increments. Some countries in Asia, in particular Japan, I'm thinking, when they write business plans, you know, these are like 50-year business plans. So that we're getting closer to what the Iroquois sort of taught us. But that's how I would like to see sort of FOSS sort of grow organically, if you will, is that every little Susie and Johnny out there, I want them to say, hey, we can build a FOSS plant here, and eventually have their own sort of ideas of how they want to see this world happen. Yeah, if you have any questions, please let us know. I'm looking forward to this discussion.
And so I hope what you're hearing in these remarks are things you might not normally expect to hear from people in business. When I think about sustainability, I think about what it's really at the core is about redefining the role of the corporation in society. Getting back to what it was all about in the first place, of serving society, making the world a better place. That sounds corny, but I do think that that is at the core of what sustainability infused into business is all about. That shift is coming from the ground up. I can tell you that looking around the country, the student demand for this stuff is going through the roof. I can tell you also what gets president's attention, donor